over 500 record, PCA, the best prospect in all the land. What constitutes a successful 2023 for our beloved Cubbies? Find out next.
Are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy, and you're tuned in to Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please support the show and be a part of the Locked On Cubs community by following and subscribing on all audio platforms. And you can watch, subscribe, and leave a comment on YouTube. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Today's Thursday episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed with Game Time. Oh my goodness, folks. We are 7 days away.
Thanks for having me on, by the way.
Opening day. 1 week, Sam.
No,
1 week, and thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Wow, your lighting's really good tonight.
Hey, I appreciate that.
1 week out from March 30, and we have some exciting stuff for you today, as always.
Yeah.
We're going to show you some lockdown power rankings.
Are we?
Do some hot and cold over the last 7 days at Cubs spring training. But first, it's answering perhaps the biggest question of the 2023 campaign. What defines a good season? Sam Olber.
Yeah. So before I answer that directly, I'd like to take a couple of steps backward because, Look, I was thinking about this a lot today. I was mulling over this topic, and I've realized, Matthew, that I really judge baseball differently than a lot of other people. What I say that is, like, for example, just to give an example, it's the bottom of the ninth inning. The bases are loaded, 1 out, and you trail by 1 run, and you ground into a double play. I don't think that out should be the same as an out in the fourth inning of a 12-0 game with nobody on, 2 outs. I believe in leverage. I believe in clutchness. I know that's a little bit old school, if you will, and anti-analytic, and I believe analytics have a place in this game. I'm getting to a point here, don't worry. But it's just, I think so many people, like to me, so many people are down on this Cubs team, and you're going to flash up some locked on stuff later that has us 55th in the league or whatever it is. Okay.
Right. Don't get me started on that.
Yeah. And
these locked on MLB hosts, please.
And the over 77.5 and this and this. And I've realized, I thought, why is it so low? Why does nobody think this Cubs team is going to be good? And then it dawned on me. It's because they don't have any superstars. And then I thought to myself, well, Mike Trout's a superstar, Shohei Ohtani's a superstar, and the Cubs are better than that club. And, the Cleveland Guardians, yes, Jose Ramirez is a star, but the way they've won and the way the Rays have won, my point is this. Baseball is a collective sport. Individually, you could have a great season. Seiya Suzuki could be terrible for the first 3 months of the year and have an incredible second half when the Cubs are 16, 17 games out. And his baseball card may look good, but he has absolutely no impact on winning games. So I'm not as concerned about the individuals as I am the sum of the parts. And I think the sum of the parts can be pretty good. So what constitutes a successful season? We'll talk big leagues and minors first, but I just wanted to get that off my chest that, like, it's not, well, you know what? If Dansby Swanson's hitting 180 at the end of April and we're 16-12, then something's happening that's right. That's all that matters,
Absolutely.
Right? The greatest baseball player I've ever seen never won a World Series. Right? Wow. That's Barry Bonds. Yeah. Mike Trout's been the best player in the world for a long time until his teammates become, and he's never sniffed a playoff victory. So, it's about the sum of the parts, and let's see where they go.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I got allergies today.
Mine are so bad right now.
No, I don't
I might
feel
sneeze
well.
on the air.
Yeah, so nobody comment. I'm trying my best not to show it.
I need a tissue or
I'll
something.
get a Kleenex at commercial.
So, yeah, well, I'm of course, even as a coach, I mean, I'm fascinated by the Angels because they literally have the two best players on the planet, and they
Right.
never contend.
Right.
If that's not an illustration of baseball being a team game,
Right.
a democratic game, however you want to say it, you go through the lineup, you have your spot on the field,
Right.
and I look at the Cubs season as in similar ways that you do, and obviously the star power is leaving a lot to be desired.
Right.
But I am looking at it with two buckets. One is at the big league level, one is at the minor league level.
Yes.
And as we start and get into this, then should we start at the minor leagues or at the majors?
Let's start with the majors, and here's what I'm going to say. Oh,
yeah,
you go. No, I know that look. You weren't finished yet.
No, go ahead.
No. You just kicked me off the show.
No, I'm not. So as my nose runs, but
no, I know it is what it is.
So a lot of practices outside in games. So a lot of high winds.
Yeah, right.
So I think the first
I'd like to do the show with Matt Cozy, not Tom Skilling. Go ahead.
The first barometer is you need to win more games than you lose.
Right.
So the first step to me for a so-called good season would be you win 82, you lose 80. That's the very bare bones first part of the list.
We need to do a better job. I think we should start making our show kind of like these terrible day shows like on ESPN with Stephen A. and Bayless or whatever, because we need to choreograph more disagreements because arguing is better for the program. Because I fully agree. I mean, I fully agree with that. Like what? So now what? Like I'm not going to repeat what you just said.
I say we just pack it in and take off.
No, I think what we should do is before the show, one of us just plays the bad guy. So you should come in and just say, you know what? Make a hot take.
So what do you want to start scripting the show?
Yeah. You come in and make a hot take. Say, hey, I think a good season this year is 103 wins. And then I can come in and just make fun of you for it. No, but in all seriousness, I agree. That was exactly what I was going to say. First step, if we're just talking big league team in a vacuum without talking player development and all that stuff, it has to be over 500 to be considered successful. Of course, that path matters as well.
Of course, because how do you get to 82 and 80?
Yeah.
First part, you're in the mix at the All-Star break.
Yep.
Okay. You're in the mix. You go 15 and 13 in April. You continue that type of way until the All-Star break in mid-July. Okay.
You're around. You're playing meaningful baseball in the summer. It's not like last year by July 4th, I'm sitting there watching single A game.
And hopefully I can watch the Cubs on Fridays as they're on Apple TV Plus.
No, I know you were right about that. Okay. You got to pay for that, which I won't be doing, so I'll figure out a plan B.
No selling at the deadline.
Agree.
How many times do we need to go through this as fans?
No, I agree. I agree with that.
The last 2 summers, dog.
No, I agree.
The last 2. And it should have been more last summer, but nobody wanted Wilson Contreras.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I'm getting fired up here.
And can I just cut you off for 1 minute?
Yeah, please.
So I did
and I'd cut off my left foot for Ohtani next year.
And I did this Locked On MLB show last night. Don't listen. You won't be able to listen to it because my Wi-Fi was poor.
Okay.
But a lot of people on there, especially the host Sully, were kind of calling the Cubs in the middle of a rebuild. That's not true. The rebuild is over.
It's over, yeah.
Now, there's a difference between rebuilding and being in a window year.
Our last live show was about that.
Yeah, this isn't a window season. This isn't like, oh, wow, we have a chance to win the title this year. We better do it or come close. No, but they're also not, like, to me, rebuilding means you're actively not trying to win. You do not care
100%.
If you win games. And that's not what this team is. And that's why we're talking about games in the low 80s. So to all the national audience and all the Locked On hosts that had us 55th out of 30 or whatever, we are not actively trying to lose. We will care starting March 30th.
Well, I've been caring the last 31 years.
Well, no, you and I will care, in September 20th when they're 9 out.
you have to remain in the conversation until early to mid-September.
Right.
Okay. Ideally, it would be mid-September. I didn't really zoom in on many individual performances.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the update today, as of a couple hours ago, I believe first reported by the Athletic. I wasn't sure if there was a media scrum or not, but I know I at least want to attribute it to at least one outlet. Seiya Suzuki's ahead of his progress right now.
Yeah, right. We've mentioned that.
But I would say there's things with him
Yeah.
that would define a successful season.
Yeah.
Horner, Swanson,
Right.
Steele.
Sure. And again,
but those are the main team goals, though.
And that's the thing. But you just made the point for me, right?
Right.
There's so many guys where it's like, yes, if this team wins 78 games and Suzuki hits 237, then we've got a problem. But what if Suzuki hits 237, but Bellinger has a big year? Like, to me, this is just one of those teams where individually, I'm not as concerned about like where Swanson's at. It's the record. It's the record with this team. The sum of all the parts together, that will define how many, how we view their team. Obviously, Swanson's a part of the future. We want Horner to be. We want Suzuki to be. Those guys need to perform. But there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen here. And I think there's probably going to be a guy or two we really haven't talked about a lot that's going to be a main contributor for this team because it's just one of those rosters. So
that'd be great.
To me, you hold in a sneeze here. It's it's one of those situations where just win baseball games, okay? I don't care if Swanson bats 088 or 360 and turns into the righty Tony Gwynn. I just want to win. I just want to win. Yeah, go ahead. I just want to win baseball games. And the thing is like everybody's so down on this team nationally because we don't have that Mike Trout, but you don't need that these days to win baseball games. It's a complementary sport. Let's see what happens. The Cubs have a philosophy that they're really focused on, which is defense, run prevention, pitching depth, and let's see how that grows. Now, after, I like to talk about the minors.
Well, this is a Cubs talk show, so we are planning on doing that.
Yeah.
So I think you need to see continued progress in the farm system with an elevation of the system as a whole. I am zooming in on individuals for this. So number one,
absolutely, of course,
Pete Crow-Armstrong has to continue to vault in this sport.
No, he needs to be one of the 10 or 15
He's on an
prospects.
escalator.
Yeah, absolutely.
One other prospect needs to get into the top 50, maybe one or two even more in the top 100. Right now, according to MLB Pipeline, PCA is 28, Kevin Alcantara is 87, Brennan Davis is 92. There's also been 4 or 5 other Cubs by other publications that are in the top 100. So it's a good core. There's good depth.
Right.
These teams win. I'd like to see them continue to win really at all 4 levels, all 4 main levels. And I really think that the discussion this year has to include what happens on the farm. And I believe we're going to do that as well. We have that in our content plans to do that and give that coverage because that truly, genuinely does matter for this organization as a whole this year.
Absolutely. And, PCA, you mentioned it. There's some other guys, Davis, Alcantara. Those guys, it's about individual success. And then the other big thing I'll be watching for to define success is the development of these young pitchers, particularly Horton and Ferris at the minor league level. See if this new system that we've got in place continues to yield very exciting results.
Absolutely. Okay, well, that was one question to tackle. Next week, we're going to go over some meters and levels of optimism. Are the Cubs one of the most interesting teams in all the sport? So a lot of things to tackle next week as we approach even closer to opening day. Coming up next, we review just the last 7 days of Cubs baseball and spring training at Sloan and in the rest of AZ. And we do that right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by another one of our new partners here on Locked On Cubs. Now it is game time. Buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Cubs are home first weekend of the season, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday against that team up north. Go out to the ballpark. And if you're going to do that, maybe last minute decision, maybe you're trying to plan ahead. Either way, do that with Game Time. Game Time is the place for those ticket deals. You don't have to plan months or weeks in advance anymore. Game Time even has deals on the night of the actual event, whether that's baseball, football, comedy, music, and more. And it comes with that Game Time guarantee, which means you'll always get the best price. And if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off to download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome back to Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Shout out to all the audio peeps, including Apple Podcast, where right now we have a Cubs jersey giveaway. In order to be eligible to win, you need to press the follow button and leave a 5-star written review on the show.
Incredible reviews so far
on Apple Podcast between now and March 30th. So that's a week from today.
Humbling.
Right now, the reviews are really incredible. Yes, humbling is a good word.
Actually, it makes no sense because
heartwarming.
Because I've always tried to figure that out. People say they get
the right word.
They say they get this great honor and they go, oh, it's so humbling. Oh, everyone telling you how great you are makes you humble. Never understood that term, but that's a term, so I used it.
It's really cool to see the feedback on the show. I will say that it's very special. So follow the show on Apple Podcasts. Scroll down to ratings and reviews. Click write a review. Give the show 5 stars. Make a brief title, and in the review box, write something about the show and send that away. And remember, this is now the #1 Cubs show in the country on both video and audio. And we again thank you for all your support.
And probably if it's #1 in the country, #1 in the world. That would be, you know what I mean? Like, what if you think somebody's just kind of in Guatemala with the #1 Cubs show in the world?
right. So #1 in the planet. So that's
Spain
on the planet. So that's pretty cool. Well,
Morocco.
The last 30 days, we had over 500 downloads in the UK.
Well, I'm very popular in England.
Okay, so the last 7 days, we're going to do a new segment called Hot and Cold.
Or is this one of those where we're going to do a new segment, or is it we're really going to do this?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to do it, once every couple of months. So, so listen, we're going to review performances over the last 7 days by Cubs players. First of all, who's hot right now, Sam? How about Yan Gomes?
Yan Gomes has been hitting like Johnny Bench. Now, not to be overly pessimistic, I almost think it's a bad thing because if he talks his way or hits his way up in the order and he grounds into a double play. Look, follow me on Twitter opening day, folks. That's all I'm going to say. I might tweet after every hitter.
You should. Yeah. You should. So Gomes has 2 home runs the last 7 days. How about some Cody Bellinger action, Sam? 2 for 7 with a homer, triple, 2 walks, and no strikeouts.
Yeah, he hit a homer today.
Oh, my gosh. So we got to update these. These are entering today's action.
Oh, yeah, he hit a homer today.
Wednesday's action.
So at another homer. Yeah, and it was a classic Bellinger homer, really nicely done.
Nelson Velasquez is on a bit of a streak here. He's homered and doubled this past week. Chris Morel, 2 homers the last couple days.
And give Morel credit again. He continues at times to look overmatched, but then at the end of the year or whatever, he hits enough home runs to where he looks like he's competent. So before we get into the cold, do you mind if I guess who you have?
Go ahead.
Or did you have any more hot that we wanted to get to?
Well, I just wanted to share Mark Leiter's
Oh, no.
All of spring training stats.
No, let me share that because last night I tucked myself into bed after the World Baseball Classic. I flipped on Marquee Network to catch a little West Coast Cubby action, and I watched Mark
Anybody have some
Leiter.
nasal spray?
And I watched Mark Leiter have a dominant inning where he struck out the side.
That's all he does.
The splitter was it was working really well. His fastball is obviously going to be underwhelming, but the split was dominant, and
Right.
I really think, and you're about to back it up with some statistics.
Right.
I really think he has pitched himself and me back into some credibility and back into this opening day roster, and my point still stands from that episode.
Well, when you go 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 8 Ks, I think you do that.
And I don't even remember the run he gave up. I think it's fictional.
Yeah, okay.
So cold. All right, ready for this?
Yeah, we got some names here.
McKinstry.
He's 0 for 7.
Swanson.
This was entering Wednesday's action.
Swanson.
He had a couple hits this past week. They didn't put him on there.
Ugh.
How about Mike Talkman, Sam?
No,
0 for 9.
Sometimes I dream that he is me. See that tweet of mine yesterday? Like Mike, if I could be like Mike. No, Talkman's starting.
If I could be 0 for 9.
No, he's struggling. So is Madrigal. I don't think he's had an extra base hit.
1 for 7 the past week.
Yeah, and let me guess, it was a single.
Right.
No, it's not good.
Yeah, well.
It's just crazy to me because you've planted this in my head. No, you've planted this in my head, and so I blame you for this. Is Talkman really a sure thing at this point?
Well, if he's this cold, I didn't even realize that until I dug into it this afternoon. I don't think he should be. But I would say entering this week he was.
So, well, then he still is because you can't. Not a week of spring training baseball doesn't matter, but for the entire spring, I mean, Talkman
is probably down in the 230s. I would say
206.
And this brother's gonna make the team.
And can I say one thing? And
yeah, before I sneeze again.
Don't make another cold joke. Nobody cares. You're good. You're let me tell you something. You could have 102 fever and still be better looking than me. As somebody that's a responsible journalist, I must say
Which is who, me?
Well, we both are at this point. Or reporter, whatever the term is. We have to call it like it is. Matt Mervis has had a very disappointing spring.
Yeah.
No, I know. It's just disappointing because I really think with all the, with the Suzuki injury and these talks of Talkman, I think he had even a better opportunity than Wisniewski if he had a good spring or a good WBC to really make it impossible to leave him off. But now it's easy to leave him off. He's hit 179, not one home run this entire spring or in the WBC. Look, does it matter?
You're right.
Does it matter for his long-term success? No. But as a Cub fan that wanted to see him make the opening day roster, it's disappointing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I think, and by the way, I know he's hitting 194, but Rios hit a ball today.
Yeah, no, what does he have? 3-4 homers?
Every hit's a homer.
Yeah.
You might as well just stick him on the team if you don't start him and you're down a couple late with a guy on and just bring him on because if he gets a hit, it's going to leave the ballpark.
I'd be shocked if he doesn't make it at this point.
I mean, he had one of those balls today. I think they were playing in Oakland, but they had like one of those hills in the right field outfield.
The Cubs' former stadium.
Yeah, and everyone was just chasing it down the hill.
So it's like Kenmore of AZ.
Yeah, he's really got some extraordinary. Hey, listen to his splits this spring, albeit very short sample size.
All right, go ahead, Trebek.
He's hitting 194
with
a 293 on base, but he's slugging 583. He has 3 home runs and a triple and 5 hits.
There's the Cubs bat they needed.
McKinstry's hitting 121 this spring.
Yeah, I understand. All right, so coming up next to close out shop today, we are just going to show you
this
and go over the Locked On rankings. We do that coming up next. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back If your first bet doesn't win, just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout the same game parlay. Don't miss out on your chance to get the no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Locked On Cubs. We get into the Locked On Power Rankings, the Locked On MLB host, all across our great network, voted on the teams 1 through 30, and the Cubs are 22nd. There was a host that voted the Cubs 29th. I did try to have that person on, but they did not respond, or they did more accurately, did not reveal themselves. Wanted to have some fun with that, but I don't know who it is still. We did a Power Rankings episode a month or so ago now, Sam. The Cubs were in that 19 to 22 range.
Right.
This Locked On list, our own network, has the Cubs on that low end. And you see the rest of the rankings there with a couple National League teams taking up the 2 spots and a few more in that top 10. So Cubs 22nd. I don't really cool graphic, obviously. Shout out to Cam over at our network for making this. But yeah, that's where the Cubs are. I think they have, if they want to, a little bit of chip on their shoulder starting March 30, and we'll see what happens.
Love this network. Love all the people associated with it. My comment on this is we'll see you March 30th.
Be sure to subscribe to Locked On Cubs on YouTube and smash the like button and all your favorite Locked On Cubs content.
We'll let the game do the talking.
Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your pods on the audio side.
Disrespect every time. 22, 23,
and
27,
you can
30.
drop us a voice.
Enough
leave us
already.
a voicemail.
Showtime. Roll the ball out and play.
What defines a good Cubs season for you? Give us a call. 312-834-4634. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Baseball. I have my own draft this Friday. Win your league by listening to Matt and Dom every day as they bring you the best fantasy draft strategies. Yeah,
Sure.
we're getting to that time.
No, we're locked in, man.
He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.